We built Ingat, smart glasses for people in the early stage of dementia. Here's what it does. When someone walks up to him, the glasses recognize their face and tell him who they are through a speaker in his ear. Name, relationship, and one thing they did together. No screen, just audio. It also handles his medication reminders, his daily plan, and helps him find things he has put down. Here's the part that makes it different. The help gets smaller over time. Week one, he hears the full name. Later, he hears just the first sound and gets a couple of seconds to finish it himself. Later, still just a tone. So we are optimizing their long-term memory health using vanishing cues. That is an established memory rehabilitation protocol called errorless learning with vanishing cues, and it stops the device from turning into a crutch. And because the glasses are tracking how much help he needs, every prompt is also a measurement that builds into a weekly score of how his cognition is changing, with the cognitive index, which goes to his family and his doctor. Today, that assessment happens in a 20-minute clinic test once a year. We do it continuously from his actual life. This also eases so much work for the caregivers of the dementia patients. And it is aimed at the 41% of people with dementia in Singapore who are still at home, still independent and alone, and feeling isolated during the day while their family is at work. It is built, it runs, and we will show you now. So in the home screen, we have the first and first things first. All these wouldn't be able to be used without the consent of the dementia patient. Let's say the elderly being the grandfather. There is an open trust center in here where we could open a control panel. In this case, we are allowed to see, or let's say the caregiver, whether it's his family members or professional caregiver or trained and qualified caregivers, can see what they hold information about the patient himself and how much of him is on the device. And the most important thing is that before all of these data can be logged, there will be need a consent agreement with the patient himself, because this is regarding with the Singapore's Mental Capacity Act 2008. Moreover, the things really utilize multi-language ability to keep track then and make sure that the dementia patient understand everything. And in here, it has to be read to the dementia patient about what consent and agreement that he agrees with. And that is by using the name as his signature. Now let's move on to another part. Once that he has said yes on his behalf, now this is when we could input using dual logging a data detection. In this case, for visual, we're using visual language model, which is using our camera to detect the person, and from there we can store data and train the models so that we can store the person that the dementia patient requested to remember. Other than that, alternatively, we can also upload the person picture, which I will show the demo later on. And from there, this is when once the Huawei AI smart glasses have been utilized, which is by using the glasses' own camera and also AI capabilities, that is when they could finally detect and give a audio feedback immediately. But before we dive deep into the features that we have, I wanted to mention that our unique edge is in the memory vault, which we will explain later on. And for now, I will see you the demonstration of logging in through the camera. Let's say for example, the grandpa wants to log in their grandchildren or granddaughter facial input. Okay, let's see in this case. You can press open camera and you can try to detect this person. But before that, we can put inside the name first. So in this case, what will happen? Okay, let's just use my face as an example. Once it is captured, you can finally see under the section of the setup and people. In this case, there will be in total four people recognized. We can also edit or remove the people that's already enrolled. As you can see, this is captured from the camera that we use. And how do we test this input is through the glasses itself. Let's say this is the view from the glasses. And so we can start the glasses and turn it on.
Do you remember Alice, daughter, singing?
Yes, and now finally the camera can detect this this face data as Alice, which is what we just input. And this is fully inferred by camera.
Alice, daughter, singing.
And the voice will also respond directly to these three prompts that we just filled inside. Now, if we turn off the camera, we can just press stop or flip camera or wearer mode. You can always tap the side of the glasses to tell and prompt it again. And there are lots of buttons that can be really customizable by the patient, by the grandpa. So that's the main feature of our facial recognition. And once facial recognition is working, and now we have all the enrolled information of the people around the grandpa, which is, let's say, the granddaughter and daughter. Now we can move on to the setup studio. In here, we have plenty of stuff going on, but our main features is the calendar and medication for it to be for their executive to leverage their their executive function. In this case, there is a comprehensive view of the calendar and what we want to add into the calendar. And in this case, the caregiver can input it for him, or even a voice input can allow the dementia patient to just speak into the glasses and the AI will put the schedule directly, automatically. In here, what we see, this is the people database, and then this is the medication. The same way, we can also input the medication through texts or voices. The same way as places, and this is places that he should not have workout. Does not mean a constant or a privacy violation, because in this case it only detects whenever it detects a location that is not supposed to be where the dementia patient is. So you can fill this in. Now, relating to the memory vault, this is where this is really important. Life story have been really crucial for relational and social capabilities of dementia patients around with the people around them. So, life story in here, it is whether one sentence or it could be like a whole paragraph that will compound and accumulate as long as the dementia patient records the conversations between them and their family members. And not only that, it is proven that using where we can choose the voice of a certain person, we can also train our voice so that um, instead of it being a technical and machine or robotic voice, it can be replaced with the choice of with the voice with the dementia patient choice. So let's say they want Ellis, and you can start recording in here. The same way as the calendar works, you can also have daily planner, and it's also all integrated using AI. Now, now speaking of taggers, now this is where we incorporate our Huawei tag, where we can physically put the tags into an item, let's say a water bottle. And in here, let's say a water bottle, you can just type it in, and then where it usually is, and you can add it. Now that it is added in here, you can also remove it, and the safe zone or home is so that it makes it so much easier for the dementia patient to figure out where the lost items are. So again, this is not for the glasses to make the dementia patient to be lazy or to not think for their own. In fact, this is the best way to prevent any types of heightening anxiety or threat aggressions whenever there is some misplacement of an item or losing items or um, just simple memory decline. In fact, we while we're using the while we're using the cues, like the vanishing cues, by using that, we could actually enhance and trigger the neural pathways to promote long-term health capabilities. Now, this is where we can add those Huawei tag, like AI trackers, like the Huawei smart trackers, Huawei smart tag. And this is conversation logs. So in daily, they could be written a summary of what it was happening or what conversation that he had with the other person. And mind you that the other person is only the one that is enrolled. So anybody else that is not enrolled will not be recorded. And our glasses works with sensors and triggers that is also very battery efficient and also compliance with the PDPA of Singapore. Now, this is where we go to Memory Vault. Memory Vault is basically a comprehensive summation, like summary or life story between the dementia patient and the specific people that has been enrolled. First, it can give like a general context, conversations and days knowns, and how has it been lately, so that the dementia patient can stay up to date and continue where they left off for the conversations. And of course, this is very good for their default mode network because it enhances their narrative and life story. Now, this is for the caregiver, and our main features in here is the cognitive trajectory index, where not even only the caregivers can see it, but it can also be transferred to doctors or clinicians to detect how their cognitive ability right now has been improving or declining based on all the sensory inputs that the glasses are able to capture. So that's it, and thank you very much.